You are listening to the Short Convos podcast. Boom, we're live. Boom, live.
We're live. Hello and welcome to our Short Convos podcast. I'm JC Cashman, Warrior of Light.
As Miralai, and we're available on Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Podcast?
Favorite podcasts. Podcasts. Tongue-tied.
I just realised, as it wasn't in my topic of conversation, but I'm still connected via a headphone and you're not.
Get with the times. Look at the freedom I've got here.
I need Bluetooth. But do I really? Do I need to be? Because it works just fine, doesn't it?
It does work. It's one of those things that once you go to it, then you notice. Like if you did this and then went back to wires, then it's where it gets you. But I've had a nice nostalgia story with wires. I've recently got a bit fed up. We've been talking about playing PlayStation and stuff like that. The one issue that I found with like modern day gaming is this whole loading and updates business. And then the other day I was like, I'm fed up of this. And I dug out the SNES and it's like cartridge, switch, play. Yes. Yeah. Because I haven't got that. If I'm going to play games for like 10, 15 minutes of my day as a little bit of like distraction, I don't want to spend 10 minutes of it looking at a little thing like circling on the screen. I just want to play the game. So and that's got wires. And I was like, wires are fine. Wires aren't a problem.
We're good with wires. So how's your week been?
The week's been fine. Today I'm in a foul mood. There was just one little thing and it's just set me off. And then I've just been a little bit like just grumpy for the rest of the day. I will share.
Can we heal you?
Let's see if you can heal me. I had to get on a bus today. But basically I had to go out in public and that was the problem. I had to go out and just be around the general populace who I just can't bloody stand. And I got on this bus and now I'm sure, as everyone's aware, maximum 20 people on a bus, have to try and stay 2 meters apart, have to wear your mask, yada, 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 yada. I'm doing all of this. And then this little old lady gets on the bus, no mask, holding an asthma pump, which I'm assuming is hers, right? She's the exact kind of person that we're all trying to look out for right now. And she's not doing none of it. She sat next to another woman. She didn't have a mask on. She's got this asthma pump, which shows me that she's even more high risk, as they like to call it. Oh, and I was just staring into the back of her head, just like wanting to just get up and just, It really set me off because I already think a lot of this has just got to the point of just comedy now. Like I feel like I'm living in an episode of South Park. It doesn't even feel like real life anymore. And then when you see people like that, who it's like, you're the one that we have to do this all for. Because if I got COVID tomorrow, I'd be sick for a week and I'd shake it off and I'd be fine. But if you got COVID tomorrow, you'd probably die. So can you please take it seriously so that I don't feel so ridiculous having to take it so seriously? I don't know. I probably shouldn't even discuss it when I'm in a mood, but I'm in a mood.
It's good. It's good to let it out. It's good to let it out, isn't it?
Yeah. I guess it is. I don't want to be a moaner about it, but what else can I do? There's nothing I can do about it. She's 80 plus years old. She is who she is, but there you go. Yeah. That was me, but the week itself was fine. You look in quite a cheerful mood. You look.
I was going to say, I feel like it's kind of a follow-on from what we were talking about last week. I feel like my plug's been pulled out this week. It feels like I'm on cheap batteries from the £1 store. I think there's numerous contributing factors. I probably overdid it a bit at the weekend. Not enough rest, usual story. But I also had a bit of an icky tummy at the weekend. We couldn't quite work out what it was from because none of the other girls in the family had it or that. I was in the garden. I probably licked my finger or something, didn't I? Or something like that. So I had an icky tummy. So I don't know if it's a rebound from that and other things, but I just feel like someone's just pulled the plug, and I'm not physically tired. If anything, I feel physically really fit at the moment, and like energy wise on that, I'm all right. But just mentally, and I've just found it difficult to focus on anything, really get my teeth into anything. Like I've got things done this week, but like tonight, I'm gonna have to stay up late just to get things done that should have been done this week, and it's like that doesn't then help it. So yeah, it kind of follows on from what we were talking about last week. I'm not tired, but I think maybe a little bit emotionally, a bit with the whole thing and everything else. So I wouldn't say I'm sad or angry or anything like that. I just a bit, yeah. The plug's been pulled a little bit this week, I feel.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I really wish I tracked from the start, because I get the feeling if you looked at it like on a chart over time, it would just go like this. It would just be waving. And again, it's so difficult to pin it on anything in particular. You just wake up some days thinking, and you wake up other days just going, let's go. There's nothing I could say, yep, that's the reason I'm in this mood. That's the reason I've switched into that one. I guess it's just human nature. I think it's like that all the time anyway, but it's a little bit amplified at the moment because of the way things are.
Yeah, because of the serious scenario, the serious situation that we're in. It's not a normal or usual day, is it?
No, and you have more opportunities to be shaken out of it in a normal day, because you might interact with someone during the day who will pull you out of it. So you might start bad day, but then you go to work, whatever you do, and someone's there with a big bright smile, and it just changes your whole attitude. Whereas if you're at home and it's the same thing for a lot of the day, I think that's where we can end up. The mood you wake up with just carries with you.
Or like what we do, we get to smack someone in the face and it gives us a big smile, doesn't it?
Yes, that was something I wanted us to discuss today, because I got to hit some pads this week properly, and like stuff came out that you didn't even know was in there. And it's been a while since I've had that much stuff pent up, because I've just always had the opportunity to hit stuff. And I've always had it as an option that if things get a bit stressful, I just find something to hit it until I don't feel stressed anymore. But that's been a bit trickier, with everything that's going on. And I wanted to talk about stress relief, because for me, I don't know what I would do if I couldn't hit pads and hit bags. I can't fathom another way to do it. I know a lot of other things I enjoy, but nothing releases the pressure valve quite like hitting stuff.
Nah.
I don't know if do you have the same?
Completely. And hitting other people that are giving it back to you as well. It's
even better.
Yeah, it's a mutual thing then as well. And like taking those heavy shots, and I know a lot of people would be like, oh, what's all that about? But completely, 100%.
There's a great YouTube channel that just where's our martial arts bell? We're going to talk about martial arts for a second. I'll get us a proper bell for next week. But there's a great YouTube channel that it was my teacup and a metal ruler.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, it didn't sound like
not the greatest. And he put up a video. He said, "Can't wait." He just captioned it, "Can't wait to get back to hard sparring." And it was just guys just going way too hard, realistically. And the comment section was just full of people going, stupid, ridiculous, just asking for brain damage, all these comments. And I'm like, you're not wrong, but I want to do that too. That looks really fun.
Because I get brain damage if I don't do it.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? A different kind of brain damage. My brain just goes numb.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah, I've now you've said it, actually, it makes you think slightly. I've been on a bit of journey with that whole contact, or shall we call it sparring thing as well, because I've in recent times really adjusted my. Looking back, I used to do it for my own gratification. Wrong word, maybe. For my own release. I would do it for my own release. Let's say sparring with another person in particular. And for my own release, my own dominance in what I was trying to achieve sport-wise as well. And, I would never intentionally hurt anyone, because that's not our game. We're not full contact fighters. We're, scoring point fighters. But I would always want to dominate. Quite often it would mean you'd hurt someone because we're kicking punching at the end of the day. But in most recent times, as a coach in particular, I've really switched it, and I fight now the majority of the time to benefit the other. And recent times it has been with CC and some of the younger people, so you can't go heavy anyway. And I've realised they've benefited more by me changing the way that I spar them. And then, literally from round to round, I'll change what I'm doing. Then I'll go a bit heavy. And then you find, you'll be with someone and they are all getting a bit bigger now. Like Cece's got a lot stronger since this COVID thing. She hit me with a psychic last night. It's like, ugh. And it's like, okay, I'll start switching it on more. So yeah, I've been on a real journey. It's been a really interesting curve. And then my actual relationship with sparring itself, like after my dad passed, and it was the most connection there I would have with him as well, in a sense that we would always spar or train sparring, and it was really an emotional thing. I didn't go to it for quite a while because it was almost too painful emotionally to go to.
Again, it's opening doors, isn't it, that are associated with certain things.
And then going back even further, I can remember, like after my mum's passing, these weren't necessarily sparring, but more like on bag work. There was one night in particular at Pound Hill, where we used to train on a Thursday night. We'd be training like later at night after all the classes, like 10, 11 o'clock at night. And Dad got the bag and he's like, oh, just let it out, just let it go. We probably did about 20 minutes of like full on grief screaming, hitting and punching a bag. And then this, I don't know if I ever told you about this, but this guy, older gentleman, turned up at the door and like knocked at the door. And we went over and, we're not like, what you want to, we're peaceful martial artists, aren't we? We were just controlling letting it out on the
expressing yourself.
Yeah, expressing ourselves, that's the word. And I said, oh, you're all right. And he was in a dressing gown, slippers and a lot. And he said, oh, I live next door. Do you mind if you can just keep the noise down a bit? And I didn't go into the full detail, but I explained, we're doing a certain exercise. Yeah, please excuse us. We would normally do it. And he's like, well, actually, I've been meaning to say it for a while. And then I realised we've probably been doing it for about 10 years. And he's finally got... one night where we went obviously over the top, he's finally got up the courage to come and say something to us. So kudos to that guy. I had to walk my make sure he didn't get mugged or that, and it's like, oh, bless him. Yeah, so that was quite funny in a sense. And then bag work at times again after mum passing away, I remember doing it just to sort of get to a point of I wore all the flesh off of my knuckles and went a couple of weeks without scabs and everything on the knuckles. So I've been on you bring it up, like whole journey with that.
Yeah, that's a whole. I think we could talk about that for hours. We'll do a martial art dedicated episode. And, cover all of this stuff, because we've always said we didn't intend for this to be a martial arts podcast in itself, but I think to deny talking about it would be denying talking about a part of ourselves, which wouldn't be right.
All right, so we'll do a martial arts special then, you, me, and we'll talk about that.
We'll flick up some
I was going to ask actually about your other podcasts, or what you're doing, and there was one. I'll be honest, as I didn't have time to listen to it. Yes, I thought I'll ask you about it. Minimalist. Minimalist.
Yeah. You know what? I almost regret making that video, and I felt that when I was making it as well, only because it's something that's trending at the moment. It's something that's become quite popular. But what people are trying to do is they're just trying to siphon it as a money-making thing. So what's happened is this documentary came out a while ago called Minimalism on Netflix. And that was where it all, I guess, picked up. And then it got onto YouTube. And now people are just all jumping on the bandwagon of it, but not because they like the principles of what it teaches, but just because it seems to be the thing right now if you want people to pay attention to you. So now, when you get things recommended to you, on YouTube, Instagram. Now everything suddenly is minimalism, and it never was before. And it's only because I've posted something and the algorithm's gone, he's a sucker for this stuff. And I was like, damn it, it's not what I was meaning to do. But I am a big believer in it, and I think it's been a very powerful thing for me. It's just a slight adjustment on my outlook to life, and it's done wonders
Explain more. Explain more, because like we did the whole sugar. Maybe we'll talk about that at some point. The whole sugar-free thing. Do you do a similar thing with this then?
Not exactly. So basically, I had been doing minimalism my whole life to some extent, but never had a name for what it was. So my mum used to always get furious with me because I just used to throw things away. I just never kept anything. And if I didn't have a use for it instantly, I'd throw it. And she was always of the attitude, you should keep it. You might need it for another time. You never know when you'll need it. That was like something I just always remember her saying when I was growing up. And I was like, I don't need it. I just don't need it. And she's like, yeah, but, and then it was sentimental stuff as well, where there'd be certain things that I'm just like, I don't need to keep this. I've got the memory of it and I don't physically need, let's say, a t-shirt or whatever it was to remember it. It just wasn't something I felt the need to do. So I've always been throwing stuff away and trying to refine certain things, like, let's say, you know, your workspace or something. I've always tried to get it just what I need and that's it. And then now there's kind of a name for it, because when I thought of minimalism, I always just thought of empty white room and you just have your one chair. But it's not quite that. It's more just, it's just refining things. It's having what's essential and what's needed and what makes you happy, and then not cluttering it with loads of other stuff.
That's what I was going to say. Get rid of the clutter. Because that's what my dad used to say. Like, my mum was a hoarder, and I think I've got a little bit of that gene. But my dad was the opposite. Yeah, he would throw sentimental stuff away because he hadn't seen the light of day for 3 weeks.
Well, I would say your dad was part of what shaped it in me, because he always, whenever we'd have a chat, one of the things he had such a disdain for was consumerism. He always would say that word in particular, and how it just drove him crazy. Like, it just irritated him that people would just shop and just buy things with like no real thought of it. And like recently when there was that queue to Primark, they've, you know, all these pictures of people who are queuing up to get to Primark, and you just think, you don't need anything, but you just want to consume, you just want to shop, you just want to buy. So yeah, when I found it, and I could put a name on it, it kind of gave it a bit of, what's the word? It reinforced it in me that it's not just me being someone who, you know, is a robot and doesn't feel anything, but there is this system for just kind of tidying stuff up a little bit.
I'm going to give you a word, you know, what with the whole black, white and negative, positive, one and O's, how we chat often. I'm going to give you one word that's going to change your world. Parenting. Parenting.
Do you think this is going to be the end of my minimalism?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is Anna, is she a minimalist?
And this is why I'd say parenting won't be the end of it. Anne is not a minimalist. And she's never tried to be, and she has no interest in it. And I think the two things can coincide. So my minimalism is quite personal to me, in terms of like, my wardrobe is minimalist, and no amount of babies is going to stop me just wearing plain black t-shirts.
No. My call is the shit that you need when kids come along.
I get it. Yeah. And that's the thing. And again, it's not about like, we'll just have one baby bottle. If we need 10 baby bottles, we'll have 10 baby bottles. But we will have, let's say, 10 of the same baby bottles.
No. It's the baby bottle. It's the cot. It's the diapers. It's the wipes. It's the cream. It's the... you wait. I say no more. You wait. We're going to do a follow-up to this whenever that
when they come along. The big thing though is that I won't keep any of it. That's the thing. So once baby grows out of cot goes. Once baby goes out of baby clothes, unless Anne's keeping them somewhere, they're going. They ain't sticking around. They're essential when it's here, being a baby. But beyond that, done.
I'm looking forward to seeing this unfold. Definitely. I do. You could knock the bell again, because it's a relation to the club. So I do themes each week with the lessons, and it just coincidentally was what I wrote down to chat about with you. And I would say I'm Mr. Positive. I think we are in the Mr. Positive business. I think that's a big thing that people come to us for, that outlook and everything else. And my point this week I gave with the classes and the theme of the week is it's not about only positivity. So I call it like no negatives week. No negatives. Negatives don't exist. And it goes back to the conversation we had about the polarities of a battery. And you've got to have the negatives in order to have the energy from the positive. I just see it as I'm the one that brings the positive, the light, to this equation that then brings us energy. But anyway, what I thought about, just interested in your input on it, and what you might have experienced during this like whole lockdown scenario and everything else. Have you gone backwards with anything that you think is a negative thing? So my example is my social interaction has gone back probably 10 years. I would like Lauren's very socially interactive. She's a very socialite. Is that the right word, or have I made something up there, or something?
I think that's a word. I think it might be a bit of an extreme thing for it, but I know what you mean.
She's very social. She likes company, she likes people and everything else. And I've gone very, not recluse, but I've gone back to being very selective to who I want to even talk to. And it hasn't been a healthy thing in the past, especially since having a bigger family and everything else. My social dynamic, my social interaction skills have taken 10 years,
taken a knock
back. So
yeah,
for the purpose of a happy marriage, and with simply having a happy marriage and all the things that you want to be doing the right for, I need to work on that. So is there anything that you've gone backwards with, negative, and you need to come out and work on it?
Yeah, I sympathize with that. That's for sure. Because I'm very much the same. That I could quite happily do with about 5 or 6 people in my life, and just not interact beyond that, and I would not skip a beat. But the people around me generally are happier when they interact with more people, and therefore you've got to come along for the ride, and you can't be Mr. Misery Guts in the corner. So yeah, I completely sympathize. Something else I would say, let me have a think on it, because sometimes I don't think properly and then I'll come out with something. I've fallen out of love with exercise because I'm having to do it when I don't want to do it at the moment. Okay. So where I'm teaching, and because of having to teach online, we're now in a position where it's not that you can stand at the front of the room and just demonstrate a little bit and then show. You kind of have to do a lot more. Personally, I found
a lot more.
You're basically training the whole time. And the thing is it's irritating me, because I used to train when I wanted to train, and then teaching was the thing that I had developed a discipline for, that no matter how I felt, I can get in the place to teach when I needed to teach. But training was the thing that if I felt like training in the morning one day, I'd train in the morning. And if I didn't, then I'd wait and I'd train later, and it didn't matter. So I've never had an issue with motivation to exercise, or I've always found it enjoyable. And I've always been weirded out by people who go that they can't find any enjoyment in exercise, because I'm just like, it's one of the best things ever. And recently it's like, I now don't want to do it. I don't want to exercise. I'm trying to find a way of not, and I've recessed in that sense, because in my head, it's like, it's never been an issue, and I didn't think it ever would be. And I'm hoping that's going to, like you said, the same with your thing. I'm sure it will rectify itself when the normality resumes. But I find myself getting annoyed at myself that I'm getting annoyed that I have to exercise.
And then it's a vicious circle, isn't it?
And then it's a vicious circle.
So, flipping it on its head, three things that have been significant in your life then. So, like, I think this change is significant because of the situation, the lockdown and everything we're in. I don't think I would have had this social regression unless we'd been in this situation. You know, it would have been all, barbecues and happy weddings and everything else. But the thought of those sort of things, they're not like, I don't want to go. It's just, it's bringing out old habits, shall we say. And some of that does stem back to personal loss and all that, without getting heavy. So switch it over. 3 significant things in your life that have looking back, that have made you into who you are or what you are today.
Like, are we saying significant moments? Like, kind of, if you go,
well,
or just...
I'll go first then. I set myself
go on.
up,
But if you, yeah, you did.
I'm thinking no particular order, and it's cliche, but it's really honest. Partner, meeting Lauren, and the relationship there. I think the significance in that is the biggest thing going. And the other thing that comes from that is kids. Having kids, I think, is the most significant thing. And I think if I went back 20 years, or say 17 years before, let's say 20 years before we were contemplating even kids, I think my 3 things would have been very different. And maybe 20 years from now, they might be different. But I'm pretty sure these are around. And then death of my parents. That was the next significant thing. You?
Well, yeah. So the first thing that came to mind when you said it, and I guess it's kind of the same, and really interesting that you said the thing about 10 years ago, it would have been different, or 20 years. I was just going to say my relationships. And like, in particular, like, you've been with your wife, forgive me, how many years, or since
19 years. 19
yeah, like long time. And before I got with my wife, I had long-term girlfriends prior to that. And I can distinctly say that I was a very different person from one to the next. And each relationship in itself, kind of, there was a metamorphosis in terms of who I was as a person, especially at the end of them when the breakup happened, because the breakup normally signifies that you're not on the same level, or you are very different people. But what it really did is it kind of galvanized who I was, because I was like, clearly we're not a match, but that means that I am whatever I am, good or bad, whatever you want to call it. And I guess it's the same for you, in the sense that it's the end of a relationship in a way with your parents when they went, the relationship with your wife, and then this new relationship of your kids, these people that come into the world and obviously affect you. So the same answer, but a very different set of relationships, just because I guess of the way, our paths in life. But I think that's the biggest thing that changes most people, is the people along the way. Because I can easily say that you and your dad were massive impact on me. Richard, who brought me to martial arts, massive impact on me. And then obviously, my own. And I'm sure when my parents go, and when my kids turn up, that the other change is going to happen again. No doubt.
It's interesting. I didn't even look at it like that, and you brought it up. That it is relationships, isn't it? I'm really chew the fat on that a little bit. That's really interesting. Our relationships that we meet.
I think that's. I mean, I've always said, like, a thing I like to tell people when they ask, when you get into a question about like meaning of life and stuff, I think a great way to think about it is, and this is a bit dark, but you'll get this. You've just been hit by a car. It's really bad. You're gonna die. You're laying on the concrete, and you've got maybe like 5 minutes before you slip away. And what would you want in those 5 minutes? And I think almost everyone would say the same thing. They'd want someone there who they care about to hold their hand and see them off. And maybe so that you could say 1 or 2 things that you meant to say that maybe you ain't said enough or said yet. So, but I think it's all relationships, isn't it? No one's going to say anything else. We spoke last week about money. No one's going to say, give me my money. Let me hold it one more time. It's not going to happen. So I just think that's all that matters in this realm. And everything we do, every decision we make is based upon relationships, past, present, and future.
Yeah. Whoa.
Wow.
Loads of brain there. We've got a good one there. And I suppose at the weekend I was talking to someone, and we were talking about what we're missing with the COVID at the moment, and what we would like to get back to as soon as possible, and what might be different in that. And when you think about it, actually that's the answer, isn't it? I think
that's it.
We're missing relationships. We're missing not just human-to-human relationship either, but relationship to the things that we do and the things that we do to make us who we are, our identities, our relationship to who we are in different roles as an instructor or as a X, Y, and Z, aren't we?
Yeah, well, like I can say it we've been talking now on a weekly basis via video chat. You know, you're clear as day on my screen and all the rest of it. But I can still say I'm very excited and really looking forward to seeing you again. And it's different. It's not the same. We've been talking. We're all up to date on each other and all the rest of it. But I'm looking forward to seeing you.
That embracing,
embracing and sitting down and having a whiskey or whatever it is. And it's no different, but it's completely different. It's real interaction. And I think that's what we're all missing, whether it be with the sport we do or the job we go to or anything. We're just missing the real stuff. We've all got like some diluted version of it at the minute.
I've got a new word, relationship. That's my word now.
Yeah. That's what it comes down to.
I want to finish on something there. I want to see if you can bring a little bit of science too, because I'm head in the clouds. It's a beautiful marriage of universal energy. While I sit in my camper, I've always had a theory of three on things. I don't really know where it come from. I'm going to have to sit down and think about that, because I've just suddenly thought you're probably going to ask, where did it come from? But I've got this theory of three. Say again?
Damn it, you got me.
I've got this theory of three of everything. Like, three just seems to be a good number. And whenever I think of a plan, or whenever I always like to do things in threes. And I've just read a story. I do a Wisdom Wednesday story. And I've just read a chapter where it talks about, I can't even think of the Japanese word. Well, it's a Japanese word which represent practicing three things. And in the martial arts term, it's talking about practicing your body. So, you know, exercise for your body, getting the blood pumping, your mind, and then the karate techniques. And it gives the other analogy of like training your muscles, so doing kata, your breathing, and then your universal, your chi, your inward energy. More relevant to the non-martial artist, past, present, and future. And then something that's then going a little bit more hippie spiritual for me, other people's surroundings and inner self. So I've got this whole theory of three. That was just an example from the book, and I could go on and on. But like, for instance, I got three girls. It wasn't planned. But I'm really comfortable with that, because we got three. Just a theory of three. I grew up with three dogs, and give me some math on that.
I don't know if I can give you math, but I know I can give you a bit of history. That I know, like in, for example, the Bible, the Holy Trinity. That idea of the three, it's been around for a very, very long time. So it's not new. The idea of things coming in threes, and there is definitely
pi is 3 point something, isn't it?
3.1.3.145 yeah, the rest. There is a significance to the number three. I couldn't tell you exactly what it is, and I'm sure there's a lot of speculation. The thing that struck me when you said it was the Bible, and the Father, the Son, the Ghost, Holy Spirit, and all of that stuff, the Holy Trinity. And I think free has been around, and I'm sure in the Quran there's something about free. I'll look into it for our quick knowledge book at the beginning of each episode. There is something to free.
So you're accepting it's hippie trippy.
I'm accepting it's hippie trippy, and maybe it's just something that we're tuned into for a reason, but I don't know what it is. Like bronze, silver, gold. First, second, and third place. I can think of tons of examples why.
Because I said about the examples of things coming up. Again, I can't think of an example off the top of my head. But I said, and that happened. You're like, no, it's just you were just looking in that direction at that time.
I mean, again, it might just be that because you like free, you see free all the time. Like that's because that's what your eyes are kind of tuned for, and your senses. But I see 3. I get 3. Mine's always been 4. Like I've always seen like the 4 corners, the 4 pillars, the 4 areas. I've always put things, the quadrants. I've liked things in 4s, but I see and definitely appreciate the significance of the 3.
Of a number, anyway.
Of a number, yeah. There's a number in, I think it's Japan, and I'm not sure if it is 3 or if it's 2, but it's like the most important number. And for example, there's a license plate which is just that number, and it's worth like millions and millions of pounds just because of its significance. It might be to do with luck, but there's a number for them.
8, isn't it? I thought 8 was.
Is it 8? Maybe it's 8, but there's something. It's got real significance, and again, I don't know where that comes from. But numbers in themselves. See, you're interested in numbers. That's maths. So it all comes around. It's all one and the same. We're going to have a special guest on soon, are we not?
Yes. I chatted with the mother-in-law. Dun dun dun. Dun. And maybe not next. Well, let's see, shall we? People are going to have to tune in, aren't they?
They're going to have to tune in, see what we're going to talk about, and get ready for that.
I think it's been very male dominant so far. You know, we haven't done hundreds of podcasts, but it's only been a male voice, and I feel it's only right to bring a female. And I thought, we brought the topic of Black Lives Matter, which is a conversation to turn people's heads, and it's a conversation that needs to be had, isn't it? So let's talk about the mother-in-law, shall we? Because that always comes with a topic to go, doesn't it?
Yeah, there'll definitely be some things to discuss in that episode. I'll be ready with the questions for that week.
We're good.
Amazing. Cool. It's been good catching up, dude.
As always, keep well and catch you on the other side.
Well, guys, like, comment, subscribe, share, leave reviews, do all that good stuff.
Tell us what your favourite number is.
Tell us your favourite number. Keep the conversation going. And we'll see you next time. Peace out.